Welcome to Little Lovers channel. Today we are going to discuss the very famous short story of Charlotte Perkins Gilman, The Yellow Paper. The Yellow Paper is a feminist story because it provides the feminists the tools to interpret literature in different ways. Lenser argues that the short story was a particularly congenial medium for such a revision because the narrator herself engages in a form of feminist interpretation when she tries to read the paper on her wall. So, here the story, The Yellow Paper, details the deterioration of a woman's mental health while she is on a rest cure on a rented summer country estate with her family. Her obsession with the yellow wallpaper in her bedroom marks her descent into psychosis from her depression throughout the story. So the primary theme of the story is that a woman who are suffering from postpartum depression or any kind of depression should be respected and allowed to make decisions regarding their own lifestyles and health. So, this story cannot be viewed in purely supernatural terms, but the real phantom behind the wallpaper, the narrator's madness is undeniable. However, as both Johnson and King and Morris point out, it is this response which is grants her freedom in the end. The narrator, who is who is a middle class woman and recently suffering from postpartum depression, who lost a baby, and her name is G, and John, the narrator's husband. Jeannie is John's sister. Mary, the nanny who takes care of the couple's baby. So, let's go to the story. Summary of the wallpaper. It's written in the series of diary entries from perspective of a woman who is suffering from postpartum depression, as I told you. Next, John is an extremely practical man, a physician, and their move into the country is partially motivated by his desire to expose his suffering wife to its clean air and calm life, so that she can recover from what he sees as a slight hysterical tendency. The narrator complains that her husband will not listen to her worries about her condition and treats her like a child. She also suspects that there is something strange and mysterious about the house, which has been empty for some time, but John dismisses her concern as a silly fantasy. As part of her cure, the narrator is forbidden from pursuing any activity other than domestic work, so as not to tax her mind. She particularly misses the intellectual act of writing and conversation, and this account is written in a diary that she hides from her husband. They move into the room at the top of the house, which the narrator supposes is a former nursery, since it has bad windows and peeling yellow paper. This repellent yellow paper becomes a major force in the story as the narrator grows obsessed with despairing his seemingly incomprehensible, illogical patterns. She continues to hide the diary from John and grows more and more convinced that the wallpaper contains a male violent force that threatens the whole home. From her room, she can see a shaded lane, the bay, and an overgrown garden. When she can escape the attention of her husband and Jenny, her sister, she continues her study of the wallpaper and begins to imagine she can see a mysterious figure hiding behind the top pattern. She tries to convince her husband that they should leave the house, but he insists. He thought that she is improving and seeing indulging her concern as encouraging a dangerous, fanciful nature. When what is required is self-control. The narrator's depression and fatigue continue to worsen. Her fascination with the wallpaper takes over her life. In a series of increasingly short diary entries, she describes her progress in uncovering the secrets of its patron. As she grows increasingly paranoid about the intention of Ginny and John, she believes that the figure is a creeping woman trapped behind the bars of the top patron, and becomes determined to free her and to keep the secret of her existence from her husband and her sister. She surprises Jenny examining a scratch growing on the wall and doesn't believe her excuse that she had been looking for the source of the yellow stains on the narrator's clothes. She begins to keep secrets even from her diary and makes an initial nighttime attempt to remove the wallpaper on the eve of their departure. Later, when all the furniture has been removed from the room except for the gnawed and heavy bedstand, she locks the door and throws the key down onto the front drive, and then proceeds to tear at the parts of the wallpaper she can reach. Here, at the story's climax, the perspective shift as the narrator's mental breakdown becomes complete, and in her madness, she is convinced that she is the woman who was trapped behind the wallpaper. She begins to creep around the room in an endless circle, smudged the wallpaper in a straight groove. John breaks into the room and discovers her and faints at the sight. She continues to creep endlessly around the room, forced to go over his prone body. So thank you. Do subscribe and share, like the channel.